4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what?
Oh, yes, everybody. Welcome back to the Washington Wrestling Network podcast. I am Matt. I'm flying solo here today on a solo mission. Kind of put this podcast together. I have a lot of great, guests coming on today. You'll see them here in just a minute. Guests we've been trying to have on the podcast for a little bit here. But just some housekeeping. Our preseason rankings are just now releasing on Instagram. You guys are seeing that, or across our social media. That is not going to be heading up to our website. And so a lot of people have asked us, hey, are they going to be on the website? No, these rankings are way too early. We did this something last year that I actually pioneered just to kind of get our content out there. It did really well for us because we were ahead on a lot of guys that I don't think anybody knew until, couple months into the season or until they started winning tournaments. So that information will not be on our website. That will only be on our social media. You can find it there. The other kind of PSA on our rankings is we've already got a lot of comments like, hey, what about this guy? What about this guy? Check back next week. We do it by weight. Most guys aren't staying their weight. Just again, a little PSA on it is we've been kind of tracking if they're wrestling freestyle or not. We've been kind of tracking their freestyle state weights. We figure, hey, if you're wrestling at 106, like for instance, right now, if you're wrestling 100, 106 pounds, something like that right now, then we're going to imagine that you're going to be able to make that weight by the time the season comes along. But if you're up, for instance, we got a couple 138 pounders that are up to 165. I doubt you're going to be able to come back down all the way to 138. It's possible. I did it in high school. I don't think it's allowed anymore, but just kind of hang out and wait to see some of your kids' names. We've already seen a freshman at the top of the list, which is kind of, rare. We have a couple freshmen coming in that we've already taken notice to. But again, we really appreciate everybody coming by. Westbrook, the movie. That's who we are sponsored by right here.
Westbrook, a wrestler's story. A movie for wrestlers, with wrestlers, by wrestlers.
Westbrook, the movie, coming soon. September, October, November, somewhere around there. We're going to be hitting it hard with the Westbrook Trail, filmed right here in Tacoma with some of the all-stars of Washington State, put right here on the map. Westbrook, the movie, a wrestler's story, coming soon. But I'm going to, talk more about the duels next week. The national duel team. I think the 16U boys, Utah, 14U boys in Pennsylvania, June 10th through the 14th. Junior boys, 17th through the 21st in Milwaukee. And then the women's duels, which is kind of fun this year, 16U, 14U, and juniors all in the same place, essentially June 18th through the 21st. We have the rosters. They're being finalized. We're going to release the rosters here pretty soon. Really, really excited for all of our junior 16U, 14U dual teams for boys and girls. Really excited about it this year. Last year, we didn't get our full squad. It's at least how it felt. This year, we got a squad coming out there, and we're going to do some damage. But today on the podcast, we welcome in the PNW Combine Camp, which is essentially a camp put together by Philip Cifuentes, who reached out to me. If you'd like to attend the camp, I'll work on putting the phone number up there, 360-780-0687. Combine, essentially what that means to me is there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of people, and that's what it feels like it's designed about. And I forgot Chief Leshy, I think school, somebody's going to have to correct me on that, on the spelling. But that $100, 2 sessions each day, 2 days in Puyallup, with a dais of quite a lot. Cam Guerin, it's not Davari. It's I'll have Desiree on to tell you. Desiree Zavala, recently married, head women's coach at Big Bend, head men's coach at Big Bend. Cam Guerin, 4-time high school state champion, one of the best female wrestlers all of Washington State. Joy Lewandowski is supposed to be on the podcast today. She had a flight issue, was tough to kind of get on with all that, but head women's coach at Southern Oregon. Brett Sanchez, he'll be on today. Head men's coach at Clackamas. Abner Romero, associate at Clackamas. Dustin Azur, Eastern Oregon. Mike Ritchie, Southwest Oregon Community College. Greg Ford, who we've had on the podcast before. Lots of college coaches. This camp, I really loved the idea when we were approached about this camp, because I was one of those kids that kind of struggled to find what I was going to do post high school. You know, unfortunately, I felt like a small bit undercoached in high school in knowing where I was going or what I was going to do. And I felt like this camp really got behind the idea of getting more faces of what's next for these wrestlers in Washington State, which I thought was really great. So let me go ahead and bring on Cam, Brett, and Desiree. But go ahead, introduce yourselves first, because I didn't want to butcher some names. Daviaire, hold on. Let's see if we get him. Daviaire, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yep, I am there. Can you hear me?
Oh, he is here. Finally, people didn't know the behind the scenes. He's actually right now he's frozen. We'll see if we can keep him on. Daviaire, I butchered your name earlier. My apologies. But let's just go in a round table. Start with Cam.
All good.
Okay, and he's a little behind us too, so we'll have to work through that, but that's okay. We'll start with Cam at the top, go to Brett, Desiree, then Daviaire. Introduce yourselves. Go ahead.
Hey guys, my name's Cam Guerin. I'm from Yakima, Washington. I'm a 4-time undefeated state champ from Washington State, and I'm also a 4-time national champ.
Wow, that's incredible. Brett, go ahead.
Hello all, I'm Brett Sanchez, the head wrestling coach here at Clackamas Community College, and I just finished my 3rd year being the head coach here at Clackamas.
Awesome. Congratulations. Desiree.
I'm Desiree Alejandro. This is my 2nd year here at Big Bend. I'm from Grandview, Washington as well.
And Daviaire.
My name's Daviaire Dickerson. This is my 2nd year as well at Big Bend Community College. I spent the previous 4 or 5 years at Midland University coaching men's and women's.
Awesome to hear. And thank you guys so much for coming on. I just want to say this first. I have a lot of questions for the college readiness part. So we're going to start with Cam. We've been trying to get Cam on a podcast. She's going to be a camp clinician here. Unfortunately, I'd love to sit and ask Cam a million questions just about her career, which I believe we will get to later on in the future. Also, guys, just to let you know, I don't have my back end guy with me today. I'm flying completely solo. So the Instagram comments, I cannot see them right now. If you guys do want to jump on our Facebook or our YouTube stream, your comments I will be able to see and pull up. So if you did have specific comments about any question that you had, go ahead and pop it up. But I felt that this was a fact-finding mission, not just about the camp, but also the kind of the idea behind the camp, which Cam, can you kind of go into? I know you're a clinician, a big name here, as is all of the big names here, but I'd like to start with you. And then if you'd like to leave the podcast, now's the time for questions for Cam if you're joining us live.
What's up, guys? So obviously I'm going to talk about the camp a little bit. So it's June 28th and 29th. So just to kind of hit some points, we're not just bringing in strictly talent. We're bringing in people that have been there, have done the big things that you want to do post high school or even in high school. So that's something that I'm really personally proud to be a part of, especially being from Washington State. That's a huge thing for me. So yeah, obviously we have this camp going on, and growing up, personally, I went to a lot of camps. I put in a lot of work, and it was tough for me because I only had male partners. I had male clinicians like most of the time. So it makes me happy to be a part of this now, even like 10 years later when I'm grown up, because female, male, whoever wants to participate, it's something that you can definitely grow, not only just on the technical side, but the mental side is something I like to implement as well, which is 90% of wrestling. So I'm very excited to bring that a part of the camp. Also, the Northwest is growing in wrestling continuously. So even if there's coaches or teammates, whether you're younger or whatever age level you're at, like if you are thinking about coming or just want to go to get better in any aspect, you should absolutely come. Even if you're nervous about it, just do it. Especially if you want to improve yourself on and off the mat. There's a lot of people that are going to be here that have done the high school thing, have also done the college circuit. I just graduated with my biopsychology degree, so I got my school paid for free, and just by wrestling, doing exactly what I love. So I know we got Desiree, we have Joy, they're coaches. They went through the college circuit as well. So we definitely know what we're doing. And even if you have questions post high school and stuff like that, just to come in and get those connections is super important. I know it's going to be a great camp. I'm very excited for it. Yeah, if you want to improve and get better, just definitely come by.
Awesome. And thanks, Cam. I put the name here. So that's the camp director, Philip there. There's the phone number to reach out to become a part of the camp. And $100, 2 days. Cam or Desiree, could somebody tell me, Chief Leshy? Is it Leshy? Leshy?
I can't tell you honestly.
Oh,
Sorry.
dang. Okay. Well, at least I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Chief Leshy. We'll go with it in Puyallup. So it is a good kind of middle ground. I know a lot of the good, great camps around the area, great clubs around the area. So if you are around, $100 for 2 days, a couple sections there. So you're getting a lot of time and stuff in front of that. Cam, we'll start with you. So do you have you've been to a lot of camps. I mean, obviously you're one of the most decorated wrestlers as far as females and males go in all of Washington State, for that matter. You've been, and I appreciate you for coming back. So, like, what's it mean for you to come back home? Because you're here a lot. And that's not just because you're from here, but, like, obviously it must matter to you to come back to the state that you bred and raised up in women's wrestling. Because I want to make a comment on that. It's actually kind of funny because we must have came up in the same era. I don't know how old you are, but we're got to be at least close.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of female clinicians, and I had like one of my first couple times coming back to coaching. I coach at Everett High for the last 2.5 years now, and there wasn't even a lot of like female wrestlers back in my day, really, and so now I get to go out there and be coached as a coach from the female clinicians, and I'm like finding so much greatness that are coming from this. And also it's kind of great to see how they've grown. It's like grown from the bottom, and now Washington State women's wrestling especially on the map, absolutely on the map.
Absolutely.
So what's that mean to come back home?
Yeah, so I have 6 camps this summer, one of them obviously being in Puyallup, and definitely makes my heart happy. I'm definitely a huge believer of remembering where you come from, no matter like what level of wrestling you are. Some people get like a huge head for mediocre accomplishments, but I really believe that remembering where you come from and giving back is one of the biggest things. Like, I don't think I'm any better than a 5-year-old that just started wrestling, because I truly believe you can learn from any single person. Everybody has a different point of view. So that's what I'm really excited about this camp. Like, even with different clinicians, whatever they're teaching, I'm watching, I'm always learning. If you want to be a great wrestler, obviously you have to be open-minded. And that's something that you can kind of feel vulnerable doing. But yeah, I don't know. It obviously means the world to me to come back. And I hope to see a lot of people there, because I have so much passion for the sport. And yeah, I'm just really excited for it. It means the world to me.
What's Cam Guerin, the clinician, like? What like a philosophy? Do you like to keep your technique very heavy technique, and maybe draw back on some of this personal experience stuff, or how do you like to format your clinician visits?
Yeah, so for my camps, I obviously tailor to the needs of the wrestlers or whatever everyone's looking for. But I like to treat it like, yeah, we're having fun, we're keeping it lighthearted, but at the same time, I'm not here to waste time. You shouldn't be here to waste time. You should be here to get better and succeed and get the most out of it. You shouldn't even waste one rep. So obviously warm up everything, you're doing it right, you're not messing around. A good amount of technique, nothing crazy, super basic stuff, but maybe it's just a different point of view that you're not used to. I also like to incorporate sparring and then like position stuff and working through positions that maybe you're not comfortable with, maybe you struggle with. And obviously I like to go to as many groups as I can and be one-on-one, make a personal connection with them. Wrestling, and then of course, like when we're taking breaks, like I want people to talk to me, I want them to ask me questions, I want them to get to know me, I want to get to know them. So yeah, I definitely try to keep it fun, but at the same time, like I like to teach people the way that I like to train. Like when I'm training, it's go time. I'm like, it's a business, but also I have to remember to have fun at the same time. So
That's really awesome. I just have a couple more for you, Cam, but 126-0 in high school. I think that's what your official record is. There might be some backyard wrestling matches that were won by you against the boys back in the day. But what do you have to say to some of these girls that are chasing records like yours right now? And maybe, having been the one that actually accomplished it, what do you think the difference of your preparation is to some of these girls you may have came across chasing that now? Do you think there's a lot of girls out there you're seeing in the high school level that are really getting after it like you did back then? Or do you think you would really like to see it being taken another step further?
for sure. I mean, wrestling obviously is a really tough sport, but if you love it, you're going to do anything you can to win and succeed. So, I honestly, just putting in the work sounds so simple or whatever, but on the days like, okay, summer or whatever, like you're not wrestling in season, that's when my mom would always say, summer grinders become winter champions. And it's so true. Like, oh, maybe I could just go to the movies with my friends. But it's like, if you want to succeed, you're going to have to freaking be uncomfortable a lot of the time. And then you won't understand that until you find the success. It's like, wow, everything was worth it. But yeah, within even the last 5 years, women's wrestling the numbers has blown up. So yeah, I would just say keep putting that work in. The summer camp, one on June 28th, 29th. If you want to get better, it's the little things that matter that add up.
What was Cam Guerin doing back, in high school? Were you hitting every camp you possibly could? I mean, was that your thing back in high school, or were you being selective, one camp a month, or were you just grinding all summer?
Yeah, it's like you have to find a balance of like making sure you're taking care of your body too. I probably honestly, especially in high school, take like 1, maybe 2 weeks off the entire year. So it's like, sounds super crazy, but like, I mean, you got to do whatever it takes to win. So I would obviously go through the season, wrestle state, and then I'd be doing the USA circuit. That's something that's super important, especially if you want to wrestle post high school freestyle. I mean, that's all we wrestle in college is freestyle. So definitely doing freestyle after folk style season. And then, yeah, when I was in high school, I made a couple junior teams. So I got to go to a lot of camps my age for like the developmental stages, which was super important for like Team USA and stuff like that for the juniors. And then, yeah, hitting as many camps up as I could with the top athletes as I could. I always like to say, like, I don't want to be the best one in the room because I need to be pushed. Like, I need people to push me. So that was my mentality then, and that's still my mentality.
I can feel that. I was talking to somebody today, and they ended up. It's a big deal. I don't know if you guys know this, but transfers are now allowed in high school. You get an opportunity to transfer. We've heard that some kids are getting out of where they are to go find better competition. And a parent had said to me today that, it really seems like the tournaments, where all the girls are going to end up being there. That's where it is. So the local matches and stuff like that for the women have not gotten to the point where the competition seems to be across the board really well. So you got to get out there and get to those tournaments. And same thing with the camps. I mean, you got to get out there and get to these camps because that's where you're going to find your training partners. And then, hey, bring everybody with you. You know what I mean? Let's all get better together. And I think that that's really something that shines through right now. Okay, Cam, last thing I got for you, like I said, you can stick around or you can toss off, but I think you just announced that you're recently taking a year off. from wrestling. One question is, you plan to come back? I mean, is this it for you? Because, a lot of people take that year off. I know we had Helen Maroulis on the podcast before, and she had taken some time off and had gotten back to it. So do you intend to get back to it, and how's your recovery doing?
Yeah, so this has been an interesting time for me. I've taken 8 months in recovering from two surgeries and one procedure. Obviously, throughout careers, everybody goes through their stages where they need to heal. And so I've never felt the best. I've never felt as good as I do now. And, obviously I'm not like in wrestling shape as of now, but I get cleared at the end of this month to fully come back to wrestling. And it makes me emotional to think about, because I hadn't taken 10 years off from wrestling, and I took this 8-month gap, and I feel like physically and mentally a whole new person. So of course I'm coming back. This is my life until I can't anymore, and until I reach my goals. Obviously I have Olympic and world team goals that I have, and yeah, I'm definitely coming back, and I just can't wait to wrestle freely. Like, we have so much pressure, especially in high school. Like, there was so much pressure built up on like 4 titles. And again, I want to give Desiree props, because she's a huge person I looked up to when I was younger. And I would say that too with your past question. Have people you look up to and strive to be like them, because she was a 4-timer, and I want to do the same thing. So back to the question, it kind of strayed.
No, that's great, because Desiree is a 4-timer, needs her own flowers as well, as far 4-time All-American, NAIA national champion, U23 national champion. I mean, come on, I could continue to go, but go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, so obviously, I get cleared at the end of this month, and I'm super pumped. I just, obviously Camp 2.0 hopefully is going to come out, and I just want to go out there, wrestle freely, physically and mentally, and I just want to give it my all. I know growing up and even like in college, I don't really show that much emotion, but I just want to start having fun with it. So once I get back on the mat, I want to just have fun with it and hype myself up, and I'm so excited. I'm very excited.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're big fans of you. We hope to have you back on the podcast. Like I say, you can stick around, or you can, enjoy the rest of your night, but we're really rooting for you. You can find Cam Guerin at the PNW Combine Camp, June 28th, 29th, Chief Leshe High School in Puyallup. 2 sessions each day, 2 days, $100. Cam, thank you so much. Now I'm going to get to the see you later. I'm going to get to the other clinicians here. So I'll remove Kim. We'll get Brett back in the talk. Brett, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
What's up, man? How you doing? I'm doing good over here, man. I'm excited to be on here with you guys.
Good. So Desiree and Daviaire. I keep getting that mixed up, but I'm going to
call him D.
I'm going to
Coach D.
I'm going to get Brett first, because I know Daviere's in the car too, but Brett seems to be traveling. So in case he needs to leave the chat, because he's here, I'll probably hit you first. So I want to kind of talk about this. And I think this is a big deal. Like I said, this camp coming up on the 28th, 29th, it's been kind of promoted as you're going to be able to put yourself in front of these college coaches, that this information is not information that you're going to be able to get without really being in front and able to ask these questions. Sure, we can reach out to you. We can reach out to you via email. We can schedule a phone call. But how often are you going to be able to go and touch each other, get hands-on training, talk, feel out somebody and kind of figure where you want to go. You hear about all these transfers and stuff at college where it's just like, man, I got to this college, didn't like the coach, wasn't really for me. And it's like, by the time you get there, it really sucks to find out that you didn't vibe. You didn't get there. And for me in high school, I took, I wasn't necessarily what you would call good. I took 3rd at state, but I was looking for my opportunities to get to a college program. And I felt like I was way far behind. I don't feel like we had these opportunities back in 2007, to date myself. even though I felt like I was pretty good, all of a sudden my high school coach goes to senior nationals and says, hey, I talked to a junior college coach in Kansas. We might want to send one of the freshmen that you knew back in the day, or, whatever. Do you mind going with them? I was like, sure, whatever. Plopped myself in the middle of Pratt, Kansas, it just like ended up somewhere where I probably had no business being. Walked in there and the coach offered me a junior college full ride on the day one. And I was like, what is that? Or what is that? And it's like, man, to figure all this out the day you get there is probably not the way to do it, and a camp like this where Washington wrestlers, we're pretty close. Clackamas, not that far away, right? Big Bend, right here in Washington State. We have Southern Oregon, Eastern Oregon, coming to this camp, Southwest Oregon Community College, all this stuff. So, Brett, when you talk about being into a camp like this and getting a chance to be in front of wrestlers in Washington State, what type of things are you maybe looking for, or maybe can people expect from you trying to get to Clackamas? And where is Clackamas? Let's start that. Where in the world is Clackamas Community College?
So Clackamas Community College is located in Oregon City, Oregon. It's about 25, 30 minutes south of Portland. So a great location, a great community. So, I'm probably 25, 30 minutes away from the Washington border, So to me, we're basically neighbors right there. It's an easy transportation. And, I'm looking forward to being over there with you guys on that date.
What about how many Washington? I mean, how much or how extensive is the recruiting for you to Washington State?
It's honestly one of my favorites because we do go to the Washington State tournament, and it's just a good 2.5 hour drive for me to go to the Tacoma Dome. And I take my associate head coach Abner Romero, and we show up. We like to show up in the morning of the semis and watch the finals and the medal rounds. So it's very, not that expensive for us to go down there. A little bit of gas money, a little lunch, and that's about it, man. I mean, it's really beneficial for us.
You should next year you should come say hi to us, because we're definitely there. We had a video from State blow up over 100,000 views, so we're really trying to do our best. Come and say hi to us. But now we're talking about, I mean, at Clackamas, you could be a multiple time state champion. You could place third like somebody like me. I mean, what are you looking for when you're scouting talent at the Tacoma Dome?
Man, I'm looking at a lot of things, but the one thing that stands out to me the most is body language. I really love seeing these high school kids, the way they carry themselves throughout the whole match, first period, second period, third period. Are they looking at their coaches to get some feedback, while they're walking back to the center and acknowledging them? And lastly, too, are they trying to score points? Or are they trying to stay the lead? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, here at Clackamas, we're trying to put lineups together to bring home that first place trophy, and now with a 3-point takedown and a 4-point near fall, it's a lot easier for these wrestlers that get bonus points now, So I'm looking for those type of guys that have solid body language, acknowledge their coaches, and if they're constantly trying to score points in their match, even though they might have the match solidified and won by like 5 or 6 points, are they still working to try to get that major? Are they still trying to work at that tech? And those are the type of kids I look for. And if they're checking all those boxes, I'm definitely going up to them right after their match and trying to put Clackamas in their head for the springtime to come recruit.
Okay, so I want to ask these questions. I know they may feel like dumb questions, and I really apologize, but I want to ask these questions as a kid in high school right now. I mean, that may be undercoached, that may not have, the greatest family behind them, and just maybe they got to kind of figure it out themselves. But as you kind of mentioned, you're about 2.5 hours, maybe a little more with traffic from the Tacoma Dome. So most of these teams, they bus into the Tacoma Dome. They know exactly where that's at. They maybe take their trip, 1, 2, 3, or 4 times a year. But Clackamas, the idea, can you live on campus in Clackamas? Is that something that's available for you guys out there?
No, sir, man. I don't have any dorms. I don't have meal plans here at Clackamas. Man, if I had that, I mean, we do a pretty good job recruiting, but I just know if we had housing and meal plans to offer here at Clack, I know it's because sometimes that's a deal breaker for some of these kids. We've lost some good recruits that we had a really good connection with on their visits here, but when it came down to the housing, we've lost them to some of the power JUCOs like North Idaho, Western Wyoming, Northeast Oklahoma, Iowa Central, all those guys, because they do have that ability to pay their tuition, pay for their housing, pay for their meal plans. The best thing that we could do here at Clackamas is pay your tuition over here.
Okay, so what? Again, I apologize if this. What is the plan for somebody that still wants to head over there? Really loves you, really loves the campus. What is the plan? Do we got to find them jobs? Do we got to find them apartments? Do we got to try? What's that plan like?
So luckily, we're very fortunate where our campus is located. We have about 6 apartment complexes that surround the campus, and it's open to the public, not just for students right there. So basically, yeah, man, we put about 4 wrestlers into a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom place, and sometimes we got some guys staying in the garage, just kind of make it happen at those townhomes, and it's pretty much to help bridge the gap on the cost, so it's pretty, a little costly. You're probably looking between like $500 to $700 a month of rent, so if you're a student that qualifies for financial aid and say you're eligible for a Pell Grant, if we're covering your tuition, then you're going to get your 100% Pell Grant back to you in your pocket, so that's what usually these guys use to help pay their rent. And obviously there's additional resources, getting a job on campus like work study, mopping the mats and trying to get a couple $100 from that. We have a really good community over here too that we're partnered up with as well too. So we have a great connection with All Phase Wrestling. It's a club that's run out of our wrestling room and at Westland High School. And we also partnered up with Oregon City Youth Wrestling as well too. So the last couple of years, those guys have been able to hire some of our wrestlers to kind of walk around and coach and make sure these little guys are doing the technique right. So it kind of helps them out too to get a couple $100 in their pocket to be able to do that, to help out with the cost of living over here.
And that was something that I wouldn't say shocked me going to Pratt, Kansas when I went to JUCO, because they did have dorms, which is great. But you guys understand, like, just because a college has dorms doesn't mean it's any more beneficial. Maybe you get some dorms. I mean, back then dorms were not allowed to be paid for. I don't know if they are now or whatever it is, but it's like they work it into your loan or whatever, it right. has to be. But just because you got dorms didn't mean you weren't working. You still had to pay off this, and this. Like, just like you said, you had to mop the mats. Like, I don't think enough high school wrestlers really understand what it is when you get to the college level athletics. I mean, it becomes a job a little bit. It becomes you needing to really focus. I mean, a lot of kids, going the JUCO route or even small school route, like, it's great because you get to get your hands on things. Like when you get into a bigger school and you're the 4th guy down the list and maybe you're not paid as much attention and you just got to get there, bust your butt. It's like, well, you're still busting your butt at Clackamas. You're still busting your butt at Big Bend or anywhere else. Even if you have dorms, you're still absolutely busting your butt to get any dollars. I mean, you know what I mean? You're working through it. You're hitting your Pell Grant if you got the opportunity. You're working at the grocery store if you can. Hopefully the wrestling team has a couple people locally that's like, hey, you got some yard work in the summer you want done. Or, I was out there digging holes in Pratt, Kansas, before for a month before I got into school to make a couple $300. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's like that even if you get the dorms. Now, you think, you kind of said like, hey, we don't have the dorms. Well, Clackamas has been able to be uber successful without the dorms. Can you talk about that? I mean, even though it may be looked at in your mind as maybe a little small downturn, you guys have been great.
Yeah. So, that comes with the recruiting process too. Like, when that topic does come up and, sometimes we have some kids that are like on the line about making their decision, and you know, if the housing is an issue, you know, I straight up tell them like, look, you got to see what you're gonna get out of this. So over here, we focus on developing our guys inside the wrestling room and outside the wrestling room. And our goal over here at Clackamas is like, yeah, if you have to pay a little bit to pay rent to be able to come here and get a great education and a great experience with our wrestling program, my goal is to make sure you go somewhere to the 4-year level where you do get 100% full, you know, where you are getting your housing paid for, you are on a meal plan, you are getting your tuition. So I think over here we do a good job with that on developing our guys where they know how to balance out their social life and now having their own apartment and with wrestling and school on top of it. And at the same time, you know, there's some benefit where they're building a good rental history too, right? So like when it's all said and done, you know, like, yeah, I've been able to pay rent, I've been able to have my own spot and pay my utilities and everything like that. So there's some good things that come out of it. You know, luckily with us, like the apartments are right across the street from campus, you know, so it kind of feels like, you know, it's
housing.
Like situation. Exactly, right? And you know, and I tell the guys that too. You know, when you're on campus, you know, you have an RA, you have a curfew. You know, when you're here at the apartments, you have a little bit of more freedom, right? Like you don't have an RA going down your throat. You just got to make sure you're on your P's and Q's, and you know, you're not getting you know, some late night phone calls. You know, because you know how college guys are. You know how they can be like, right? So, you know, but yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of like how I kind of break it down to them. Like, yeah, you are paying a little bit right now with housing, but our goal, if you invest in the program and you check all the boxes, you know, there's a great chance that you could find a 4-year school who will pay for all that for you. So that's kind of how we kind of sell it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, you know, the idea is that, you know, not everyone gets put on junior college scholarship, you know, when they get brought in right away. And I know that, you know, I had a very unique circumstance where it was available to me because some coaches, I don't know if you're this way, but, you know, they hold back a couple scholarships because there's going to be some walk-ons that you just don't know, you know. So hopefully every school has got 1 or 2 of those to be able to hand out maybe when they get there. But the idea is that most freshmen redshirt. I mean, do you guys kind of see that a little bit? Maybe I'll bring in Daviaire and Desiree into that a little bit as well. Do you guys see that a lot of freshmen are redshirting first year anyway?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. It just really depends on the individual that comes in. You know, over here, I try to do my best to keep my cards really close to me, where maybe we might have a couple returners coming back at that weight class, and maybe we have a stud freshman coming in as well too that could probably come in and steal the show as well too. But at the same time, I try to like have my guys where I could have them and they have a solid shot to make the lineup for 2 years over here. So sometimes we have that decision, that conversation, like, hey, I know you could come in here, I know you could win it right now, but I think right now we already have 2 guys at this weight class that have shown a lot of growth, and we think they could do really well. So it doesn't really make sense for us to have 3 or 4 guys going at it right now where, you know, 3 of those guys could do really well. So sometimes those conversations, you know, it's kind of tough because those freshmen really think like, hey, I know I could do it. And, you know, it's really trying to think big picture. And, you know, so that's kind of like how we kind of go about it. But we've had freshmen come in here, man, and just become a national champion right after their first year, you know. So it really just depends on what we're looking at those weights, and you know, and try to balance it out so they have a fair 2 years to have an opportunity to make it to the national championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I say that most freshmen redshirt, it's not that they don't have the opportunity to be starters right away. I just think that a lot of guys don't understand what it's like to be a college athlete. You know, and again, maybe some guys are like me. Maybe they show up, they had no idea what it was, and it's a big culture shock to them. Daviaire, and Desiree, I'm going to bring you guys in. Brett, if you want to go on mute, get where you're going, or if you're staying, cool. I got some more questions for everybody as we kind of get in here. But Big Bend, you know, right here in Washington State. Daviaire, if you're here for the boys, Desiree for the girls. Desiree, I'll probably start with you. What are some of the benefits to being right here in Washington State? Obviously, that's an easy question to have, right? But sorry, let's start with this. Where's Big Bend Community College?
So we are located in pretty central Washington, Moses Lake, Washington, literally smack dab in the middle. We're 2.5 hours from Seattle, 1.5 hours from Spokane. Yeah.
And yep, I knew Daviaire was going to make, I lost him a little bit, but it's okay. A question I didn't ask Brett, but I would assume that it's very similar. The cost, I know he's out of state, but the cost to attend Big Bend, do you have a figure like that? You know, something as far as you might tell recruitments?
Yeah, so our baseline tuition averages about $100 a credit. So typically, athletes only need to be in 12 to be eligible, but we recommend 15 because if you're only taking 12 credits a quarter, you're not going to graduate on time. So taking that 15 gives you some wiggle room, right, in case you fail a class or if all else goes perfect, then you're graduating on time. So typically we're looking at around $1,500 a quarter before scholarship or financial aid for in-state. And then we also have which is super awesome, something we call a different scholarship. So anybody that is out of state, we can get them in-state tuition. So there's no different cost for kids that are out of state coming to school here at Big Bend.
Nice.
Unless you are from a different country, then that's a whole different ballpark. But just kid coming from Oregon, California, you'll get in-state tuition.
You know, something that I did not factor in this podcast was a little bit of the rivalry-ness of it, because I didn't mean to like bring on rivals with each other, but it's like, if someone had,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not his rival. They don't have a women's team. So, I mean, we're cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear about this out of state tuition thing here, huh? Okay. Yeah, no. Daviaire, we'll hope to get you back in here. Are you there now?
I'm there. Sorry about that.
Okay. Daviaire, I'll maybe give this to you. I talked about scholarships with Brett a little bit. So let's kind of elaborate on junior college scholarships. What's available to the wrestler? And maybe some people believe that they're only there for state champs. I mean, how do you obtain a scholarship? What's it look like?
So for us, same with Clackamas, tuition. Our scholarships are tuition anywhere from like 20% to a full tuition waiver is kind of what it looks like. In the state tournament or in tournaments, what a lot like what Brett was saying, body language, the will to fight in their matches. How is a wrestler that's losing in a semifinals match, how are they taking that loss, talking to their coaches, going through some adversity? One thing we look at is wrestlebacks, kids that had to go through adversity through a tournament and had to wrestle 6 matches to get into place in rounds, because that kind of shows that they're good enough to win it, but also had to go through some adversity, and we like to see how they react from it. So I would say, we watch a lot of body language and effort in the tournament side of things.
Desiree, maybe I'll go ahead and revisionist that question to you as far as on the girls' side. Now, in Washington State, real quickly, how many programs are there for a female to get into the wrestling in Washington State for college?
There's 2. So there's us at Big Bend, and then we have Evergreen, which is NAI. This is their second year, our second year in the NJCAA. So we're both really new programs. Not a lot of opportunity in Washington, but more than there was when I was in high school. So when I was graduating high school, there was 0. So definitely growth.
Yes, no, it's phenomenal. So again, sorry about the feel like it's dumb question. Do you guys have dorms or any on campus, housing provided?
So we do have dorms on campus. They're not horrible, right? From the outside, they might look a little rough, but when you get inside, they're actually not bad. And we also do have a cafeteria on campus. Our cafeteria is not meal plan, so we don't tack it on to like your dorm fee or your tuition fee. It is like eat as you go type of thing.
And does that cost money? Like how's that?
It's average, probably like $5 to $7 a meal. They do breakfast, lunch, grab and go dinner.
Okay, and then what's it like going to Big Bend Community College? I mean, can you kind of sell the idea of the college to a high schooler that you might meet at the state tournament or sit down for a recruitment visit?
So I know me personally, I'm a little bit lucky, right? Because I'm from Washington and I also coach our national team. So I know a lot of the girls from when they're young, and I get to kind of keep an eye on them and be like, okay, maybe that's one that I want, or maybe that's one that I don't want, and build relationships with them. So they know me and I know them, and I feel comfortable talking to them and bringing them on campus. But also our campus, for a junior college, is a really big campus. I have people come here and say, wow, I didn't even know this school is here. This campus is huge. And it's not in a horrible location. We're right on a lake. There's a lot to do. If you love to do outdoorsy things, there's a lot to do outside. If not, you're not too far from Seattle, Spokane. It's like a day trip type thing. We have pretty new facilities. We just remodeled them last year. So it is easy for me to, especially because, again, there's not a lot of competition in the area as far as somebody who's wanting to stay close to home, be like, this is all we can offer you. And they're going to say, well, that's great, because there's not a lot of opportunity in this area for women's wrestling, unless you're wanting, like, Eastern Oregon is the next closest. Southern Oregon, that's still quite a hike for girls that are wanting to stay local.
Yeah. Daviaire, can you talk about your experience with the boys? Are you as involved as Desiree is, locally, to where you can get a hold of some of these kids before Brett can?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I was on the coaching staff for the Fargo team last year. I had my second daughter, so I wasn't able
Congrats.
to make the Fargo camp. But for me, building a brand new program right now, it's opportunity to compete against people like NIC and Clackamas at a high level, and to get an education. From that, it's kind of in the athlete's hands with a mix of what the coach is given to, go get what's next, go get that 4-year scholarship, go get the money that they might have missed out on junior college at the 4-year level. But right now, building our program, it's the opportunity, being able to compete against great programs that are already kind of solidified gives us opportunity to, we're 1-2 wins away from getting those looks our way. So it's a great opportunity. It's a dogfight every weekend being in the conference we're in, but it definitely gives our guys any opportunity that someone's wishing. I wish all the coaches overlook me. I'm like, Big Ben will put you in that position to beat that guy, beat that guy that was recruited. Junior college, kind of open college wrestling is kind of a blessing because it's easy recruiting out of junior college, because we can go wrestle in an open against Oregon State or against any of these Division II, NAIA schools, and you go beat their guy, their coaches are in the corner.
Yeah, and you can be like, hey, this is my JUCO kid that I brought up in here, Now, Brett, you had talked about, how you didn't have dorms. So, and recruiting from Washington State, where you feel like you're got two hands tied behind your back. Coach Pete just talked about Christopher Villanueva, who you guys just had commit there. So, again, not to kind of pit you guys against each other here, but we had the dorms, we had the in-state, and we still were able to lose the guy to Clackamas, which I'm not trying to put any salt in any wounds here at all, but it's just like, people out there, we need to understand that there's a lot of opportunities for us, not just, hey, you want to stay in state. Well, maybe you do want to get out of state. Some people just don't want to be, we've been here our whole lives. Let's go get a little bit of experience outside of there. Brett was getting Chris. He was on our top 10 pound for pound all season long, lost to Colby Ducat, one of the better matches of the state tournament there, one of the highest profile matches. Obviously, he's a big get for you, and you probably have big plans, but how tough was that? Because these guys got the dorms.
No, yeah, and I just want to throw in there too, So Washington, to all the wrestling families and all the high school kids out there, we do consider Washington in-state tuition over here as well too. So I think
great
that
to know.
yeah. So we all the border states, right? So Washington, Idaho, California, and Nevada, they all get in-state tuition when they apply here at Clackamas. So that's a big, when I talk to a Washington kid and to their family, and I tell them like they're in-state tuition, you could just see like the light bulb in their head, just kind of like, oh, that's intriguing, So like that definitely helps out, and like the Villanueva, the Villanueva brothers that we got, they were kind of like a last-minute pickup because, truthfully too, like we're running a little thin right now because we've had a really good recruiting cycle throughout the whole spring. And when we brought them over here, I think they just had a really good connection with my coaching staff and with the guys on the team. And like you said, just leaving Washington, but it's not too far, but still kind of getting that experience and seeing what, another place is like. And I just remember, Christopher and EJ, when we were showing them around just the town, they were just like, wow, coach, this is really nice over here. Like, man, I could really see myself being comfortable over here and being successful, So, like I said, earlier when you're asking where Clackamas is located, we're actually in a really, really good spot, and a place where I feel good, raising my family and not, having to worry about anything sketchy around. So when we do have kids from Washington coming over here and they see the area, they feel really comfortable. And then, like I said, I think their connection with the guys on the team and the coaching staff really just solidifies it. And they see themselves developing and growing over here and yeah, having a great experience.
I think that you could, that's kind of the thing. You can grow and develop in any situation. I think finding some place that you like matters a lot. It really does. The connection with the coach, or the place, is there amenities? I talk about this all the time, and I hate to dog on WSU, but I had a gal that took 7th in state for us come back after not being able to wrestle or just felt like she didn't want to maybe, and was like, Coach, you were right about WSU. I was like, yeah, it's not, you have to like choose to go to school when you're there, so there's not a lot to like do, it's, and so WSU's kind of got a negative vibe sometimes, about that. They're a great school though, has some great, I don't mean to dog on WSU. I am a Husky fan though, just saying, but Daviaire, you talked about going to college opens, and hopefully I'm not losing you here if you can hear me. You talked about going to college opens as a JUCO wrestler. Can you talk about the experience of year one in a JUCO program? Don't know if he's there. Okay, Daviaire, we're losing you. Your connection is just bad. So why don't you try to reconnect so that we can get you locked in? Desiree, maybe I'd ask you that question. For a female, what is a first year like at a junior college program?
Honestly, we had a pretty good year. I ended up getting some recruits who I probably shouldn't have gotten. They probably could have went NAIA, NCAA if they wanted to, but we had great recruits. We had girls do well at these opens. We every single open that we wrestled in, we had at least 1 or 2 in the finals. Had a couple win them at a certain weight classes. We were having like 5 or 6 girls place in them. So it's a little different than the guys, right? Because we don't really have any NCAA or, D1 programs in the area. So we're competing with like Pacific University, Evergreen, SOU, Linfield, and EOU. Those are really like the big ones in the area. Simon Fraser every here and then, which they're hammers, obviously. But it is awesome to be able to take my girls to those tournaments, especially tournaments like the Spokane Open, the Boxer Open. Like those are tournaments I remember wrestling in when I was wrestling in college. So it's cool to be able to go back with my team and have my girls wrestle in them as well.
And then, Brett, I'll ask you the same question Daviaire, hold on. He's back. Daviaire, can you hear us now? He needs to get that. You know what? I don't know that the cell reception's good out there in the Big Bend. You know what I mean? I think Desiree, that is something that should be taken because Daviaire.
It depends on who you have.
Daviaire, I still
There
don't
you
have
go.
you here. I still don't have you. So I will get you to Brett. Brett, what's year one look like for a Clackamas junior college wrestler?
Honestly, learning how to wrestle all over again. You know, we again, we're fortunate. There's times where we get guys that are in the top 20, you know, in their recruiting class coming out of high school. And still the transition, right? One thing they still lack is learning how to hand fight again at the college level, getting off the bottom position, you know, and honestly being more greedy and stingy on top when they're riding. And so the first, you know, for a freshman, it's really just buying into our system and believing in it and trusting it and trying to perfect it. And, you know, like the coaches were saying on here earlier, you know, we do got an opportunity to wrestle against a lot of four-year schools in the first half of the season, right? So it's just honestly, yeah, just an opportunity for those guys to go out and see where they're at and coming back to the wrestling room and try to polish things up. Again, just like in those areas that I talked about, specifically at the hand fight and the bottom position. So, you know, when we do have big names over here that these four-year schools know about, but, you know, maybe they just didn't have the money for them at the time, it's an opportunity for those guys to wrestle, you know, one of our guys and, you know, they get to see the growth and how they've been looking since, you know, the state tournament, since the last time they've seen them, you know. So that's kind of the fun part. And then, you know, after those weekends and those opens, you know, we go back on Monday and get back to work, and we know what we need to work on. We know what we need to get better at. And the following weekend is the next quiz for us to try to perfect those areas and be better, you know. So that's like kind of like our goal is first half, wrestle against those four-year schools and see where we got better at in those areas that, you know, they do lack coming in from high school. And the second half of the season, we should feel pretty good about when we just focus on just wrestling junior college kids and being cleared up and ready to go and polished up.
Coach Desiree, what about like, you know, I kind of mentioned this, once you get out of high school, you know, you're into college now. It starts to become more of like a profession. That's kind of how I was kind of learned to it when I got there. Do you guys focus on meal prep, meal plans, weightlifting, body composition? I mean, is that's all stuff that I think I was very shocked about getting to the college level, a training room that was more than just taping your ankle, you know, like I had, you know, ice baths and hot tubs and you know, extensive stretching and stuff like that. You know, what does Big Ben offer that way?
So we're really fortunate because we do have a strength and conditioning coach who is our men's assistant coach who ran our lifts the first fall and winter quarter. So we had weights, 6 a.m., 3 days a week, practice in the afternoons every day. And as far as recovery went, we have an athletic trainer who is here to literally tend to every single bump and bruise that they have, even when maybe they're being a little dramatic. They just need some love. He's there to love on them. We do have ice baths. We're kind of random, but Big Ben campus used to be a military base for the Air Force. And so the gym used to be where they did most of the training, and the locker rooms have saunas in them from like the 1930s, and those suckers get hot, and they're big, so we can cram our whole team into the saunas. They can recover in them. We have pretty good resources here on campus and as well as in town as far as that goes. And as far as like meal prep and meal plan and nutrition and stuff like that goes, I would consider myself pretty knowledgeable, right? Like I'll sit down and talk with my girls about meal prepping and meal planning and stuff like that. But I'm also a big believer in some of these things you just have to figure it out. A lot of the times the things I tell them, they're like, okay, yeah, cool, coach. And then they're like, oh, wait, that actually is making sense now. And I was that way as well. When I was young, I was stubborn and I had to figure things out my own way, the hard way. And I'm big on just figure it out. Like, right, there's a lot of you, there's one of me. So
productive struggling is what I call it.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things where after you suck weight super hard 3 weeks in a row and you're feeling miserable and hating your life, like you're gonna figure something out, right? There's only so much we can do as coaches. So I'm really big on on that. And I think that's super important as an athlete, especially if you're planning on wrestling at that next 4-year level, of understanding your nutrition and your body and your weight specifically, and knowing, what you have to do to get yourself feeling great and ready for competition. Because it is a long season, right? We go from September to March. So you don't really get time to be able to slack off. And then, like that month-long break that you get and those 2-pound weight allowance that you get in high school, we don't get that. So it's an adjustment for them for sure.
This is a great question. I have this on our show sheet. I was going to ask it coming up, but since we got the question here, any recommendations on how to get athletes noticed, specific tourneys, clubs? Brett, I'm going to ask you this question first since you're out of state. I figured that obviously the state tournament is on the list. What other tournaments do you know that you're on the lookout for in Washington State?
Super 32 is a big one for us. We definitely keep an eye out for Super 32 guys that go out there and, see how they do over there. We do travel and go to the Super 32. We do travel to the Doc Buchanan tournament down in Clovis, California in January. NHSCAs, that's a big one for us as well too, that we like to keep our eye on as well, and obviously the state tournament. So I would say, and Fargo too, right? So like Fargo, I would say those tournaments right there are the main ones that we keep our eye out, and how those guys perform. And like I talked about, earlier, body language, how they're competing against the nation's best, against the top 5%, and if they're looking to score points and dig those matches out, So.
What about some of these bigger tournaments like Tri-State, Hammerhead, Gut Check? Are you following that?
We do. So I would say those kind of like catch our attention, the Tri-State and Gut Check. When we see those guys go over there and win those tournaments, like it definitely catches our attention. And then, we have our eye on them, and then we go to the state tournament and we see how they perform. If that was just like a weekend thing that they had a good tournament at, and how do they perform in the postseason, right? Because that's where you're going to be remembered as, is like how you perform in February and March. So definitely, I know Villanueva had a really good tournament over there, at Tri-State, and that caught our attention. And then obviously how he did at the state tournament definitely caught our attention, and those are the main ones that do definitely help out for us. But I would say those other ones that I mentioned are definitely the ones that are a little more heavier for us.
Wow, that's some good insight right there, and I get that. So, Coach Des, I would assume since you're in Washington State, maybe those Washington State tournaments ring a finer bell. And I got this comment. What about the Kelso Braided tournament? Is that on your?
That was going to be one of the ones that I was going to talk about. And then, yes, Gut Check, those tournaments that Coach talked about as well. I like to look at national duels. I like to look at Fargo. Like I said, I'm on staff, so I'm with these girls almost every weekend training for Fargo and national duels. So at least Washington girls, and honestly, almost all the girls on my team are from Washington. Washington is such a powerhouse for women's wrestling, so it's easy for me to fill a roster with Washington girls, which I love, and I think is one of the great things about a community college for women's wrestling in Washington is we're amazing. We have great girls. Like, I love to showcase our talent here, especially being a girl from Washington. I have some pride in that. But I would also say, like, girls who want to wrestle in college and maybe haven't had the opportunity or don't know what to do, like, reach out. I probably have 5 girls incoming next year who I would have never recruited unless they shot me an email or shot me a text or had their coach shoot me a text and say, hey, I have a girl who's interested in wrestling. Like, here's some film, or can we set up a visit, watch her at this tournament, and just start that communication. And you have to provide opportunity for yourself sometimes, right? Like, closed mouths don't get fed. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask.
I'm going to ask both of you guys this question, so I'll give Brett some time. I'll ask Desiree first. What can you talk about the going the JUCO route? I feel like some people look down upon going the JUCO. I'm not saying I do, because I went to that route. I think it's great. I think everybody actually should go that route personally, just because you don't know what you don't know. Going the JUCO route gives you an opportunity to kind of figure it out without, having to test your whole everything. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate the compliment there, and the question. Des, first, going the JUCO route. To me, I feel like sometimes you have to sell it. Can you sell the idea of going the JUCO route?
I think I'm doing a pretty good job, honestly. Like I said, it's all about, like, as far as incoming athletes, one, what is your goal? What do you want to accomplish in this sport? Two, do you really want to take out $20,000 in loans to go and have a horrible season somewhere where you're getting your butt kicked, right? Where you can come somewhere like this and develop? Because we do have some people on our team where they're here to develop, right? Because their goal is to wrestle at that 4-year level, and maybe they're just not there yet and they need those couple years of development. And then also, do you know what you want to do? Like, if you are going to a $30,000 a year school and you have no idea what you want to do and you're taking random classes, you're kind of wasting your time and your money, right? So going that JUCO route also gives you a chance to really figure out what you're wanting to do. I kind of like when I'm recruiting to talk about my college experience, because I started off at an NAIA school and then I actually wrestled at a JUCO for a year before transferring back to an NAIA school. And I think that transition of going from NAIA to JUCO and then back to NAIA was great, not only now as a coach, but as an athlete, because I was able to kind of break that stereotype in my mind, because I felt the same way, right? I was like, honestly felt like I was way too good to wrestle at a JUCO. I looked down on it, like it wasn't really something that I ever thought about doing. And granted, when I wrestled at the JUCO, there was not NJCAA women's wrestling, so we wrestled in what was like the WCWA. It was a whole different thing, but I really loved my time at the JUCO more than I did, honestly, at the other two schools that I attended. I just loved the sense of community and how I felt like all my professors actually knew me and cared about me. And I felt like the people on campus cared about me. And I can like speak to that here. Like, your professors here at Big Bend, they know who you are, right? They know you're an athlete. If you're not going to class, I'm getting emails like, so-and-so was not in class, or so-and-so is not doing well in this class, or hey, so-and-so is doing XYZ in the dorms. And they know who to go to, and they know, the students know, one, that there's somebody holding them accountable and responsible, and two, that there's somebody who actually cares about them and has their back, which I feel like at sometimes bigger schools, especially if you're someone who's younger and maybe needs more support, you're not going to get that there.
Yeah, that's I could tell you a quick story. I had a friend that went to UW. Obviously, I'm right there, big D1 college. I went and spent some time with them during the winter break or whatever. And when I got there, I was like, you kind of get that little high of being in a big D1, and it's like, I feel like that's what it is for a lot of people. It's the idea, maybe you watch the college basketball games or football games, and it's this big grandiose thing. And I asked him, I was like, hey, so, how are you doing? It's like, man, I don't know, like, there's so many people here. It's very lonely. Like, it's tough to get a hold of people. Everybody's got their own deal. It's, so it ends up being almost too big for some people. Like you mentioned, Des, where it's just like, getting to that JUCO school allows you to feel like you're, cared about, feel a little bit important. Brett, I'll ask you the same question. Sell the JUCO route.
Yeah, so Coach Des, she said a lot of great points right there. Sometimes when it comes to the JUCO route, sometimes I do feel like I'm a used car salesman, and just trying to sell it, like it's gold. And but I really do believe in the product. Just for myself, coming out of high school, I was heavily recruited by a lot of 4-year schools, but unfortunately, I didn't take my academics very seriously, so I had to go the junior college route. I had to come to Clackamas out of high school, so it was definitely a humbling moment for me because, I came from a pretty good high school program, well coached. And once I got into that Clackamas wrestling room, I just was like, whoa, like all these guys are good, and then the competitions that we were talking about, like those opens, I realized I wasn't even honestly close to wrestle that Division I room right out of high school, So for us over here, we do get some big names still over here. And, sometimes, they really don't like the Division I offers that they're getting. Maybe it's not as much as they don't think, or maybe they think they could probably go somewhere better or bigger, so I kind of sell that to them too. Well, you have another couple more years to showcase yourself, right? If you don't,
if you don't like what you're getting right now, let's go wrestle those guys right now, and give yourself another chance to wrestle at that bigger stage, because obviously, those kids, they have the admirations to wrestle, in the Pac-12, the Big 12, the Big 10, and we've been fortunate enough to send guys to those type of conferences, so just the history, the tradition that we have over here, it's something that we share with these guys when they come here on their visit. And I think, when they see that and they see the success and they see the guys being able to come over here and be able to go to those bigger Division I schools, it definitely helps us out. And then, at the end of the day, when you do have those kids that do want to go to Division I schools and they come to us and they realize how tough college wrestling is already, wrestling an NAI, a D2, a D1 wrestler, sometimes their goals change. They go, you know what, coach, I think I'm good going NAI. I think I'm good going D2 now. Like, I don't need to go to that Division I route because this is hard. So it's definitely, we get different type of experiences and different examples that come over here. But that's kind of like how I sell it. It's just you get another opportunity to showcase yourself, to build your stock, and I don't want to say like worst case scenario, but you're still going to be able to move on. You're going to go to a 4-year school. If it's a smaller one or a big one, you're still going to have that opportunity. So that's kind of how I sell it over here at Clack.
Well, and I tell you what, I spoke to a couple, a lot of, Division II, Division I coaches. They love scouting at community colleges. Absolutely love it. I mean, you're seeing now the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Cam Ward, I think came the JUCO route, all the way to number 1 pick in the NFL draft. They love it because not every high school kid's ready to go. And it has nothing to do with wrestling sometimes. I mean, they could have all the talent in the world. They're just not mentally ready. I mean, kids, when they're wrestling in high school, it's like, hey, from freaking December, from November to February, I'm going to buckle in. But then right outside of then, maybe I don't do track or baseball. I just go off and, do nothing. And it's like, well, not here. That's not how it works. And then also, like you mentioned, you guys have had success getting kids to the 4-year level. So there's really no drawback to going the JUCO route, especially if your goals are to get to a 4-year level. I know, Des, you guys have only been a program for 2 years, a little bit more tough to kind of look at.
We had, I think, 4 girls graduating, 3 of them are wrestling at a 4-year next year. So
awesome.
That is like a big thing that I talk about. And it's super important to me because honestly, like, yes, I want to see my girls be successful. I want to win. That's my job. We're here to win. But I much rather would see them go on and have successful careers and lives and continue their education at a 4-year university because that's really the goal. And that's why they're here. So that's something that we talk about a lot, whether they continue to wrestle or not. Like, I want them to wrestle, yes. But really, I want them to just go on and be successful at the next level in whatever they choose to do.
Yep, absolutely. Coach Pete with a question here. Questions for both coaches. Are athletes encouraged to grow in their faith if that's important to them? Go ahead, Des. I know you got a Coach Pete camp coming up.
Yeah, we do. So we do have an FCA camp coming up August 2nd. It's going to be me, Kennedy Blades, Olympic gold medalist right here in Moses Lake, and a couple other local Washington talent. So that's going to be super awesome. You guys can get registered on the FCAA website. I think that it is important for athletes to grow in all areas of life, right? If faith is something that is important to them, then it's obviously something that I'm going to encourage for them. And again, all athletes have different beliefs. All athletes have different goals. All athletes have different things that drive them. But I think it's important in general to figure out what it is that drives you and what it is that's important to you as an individual and then as a team. And then kind of circle your goals around them, right? If that answers the question.
Brett, do you have an answer other than that, other than just seconding that? Because that was a great answer.
Yeah, that was a really good answer. And having a strong faith, I think, does help for the individual of, it really depends on, like, how you look at it. Like, I just think it helps them to become a great human being and have a good character when they're constantly, trying to walk the right way and have good character. I think it does help, but also at the same time, we've had guys that have different beliefs and they were great young men too. You know what I mean? So it's like I think I think it just helps the individual. Honestly, if they do have a strong faith, I think they're gonna have a great experience. I think they're going to have good relationships, and I think, it's a win-win regardless, honestly.
Yes, and then so this will be my last question. Both of you have taken up a lot of your time. I really appreciate it. There's Coach Feist in the chat. Go Clack, Coach
That's
Feist.
right.
We love you. Tahoma's dominant high school team. Coach Feist is a friend of the program here.
He's the man.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We have a girl from Tahoma High School on our team this year, and then another one joining us next year. So we're excited to have both of them.
I mean, a one-stop shop for high school college talent is the team of Tahoma High School.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys are, if you need a place to go, that would be the place to go and start. And we're definitely topping in on that as well. Deds is the best comment here. Jacob Martinez. Appreciate the comment there. Real quick, just to finalize, this camp will be at Chief Leshy High School in Puyallup, 2 sessions each day, June 28th and 29th, only $100, $50 a day. And you're going to get everybody we talked to here, Coach D, Cam, Guerin, Joy Lewandowski, Abner Romero, your boy there, Dustin, Mike Ritchie, Greg Ford. I mean, all the college opportunities for a Washington State wrestler. And Coach Feist again, Des for president. Yep, appreciate that. We could do that. We could figure out that. Please, contact Philip Cifuentes, phone number down below. But for the audio listeners, 360-780-0687 to attend. It's going to be a camp that, a headline here is that you're not there to recruit, right? That's not why we're there.
But we're not there to recruit.
Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? Well, that's what I was trying to say. Like back, again, I feel like me, Des, and Cam were in a different era of Washington State wrestling. There just wasn't a lot back then for all of us. And nowadays, these kids are spoiled. You know what I mean? We keep saying that. These kids are spoiled. Camp's out the yin-yang. Every way you look, every week, there's an opportunity for people to get better, which is great. And it's really awesome to see. And we love championing that. But last question for both of you, and I'll start with Brett, just to give our hometown heroes here a little different shot here. But I need you to be the used car. Is the camp focused on freestyle or folk style? That's a good question, Coach Feist. Anybody can answer.
I'm sure in freestyle. I don't know.
I'm gonna do folk style. I'm gonna do folk style stuff, but I wasn't notified what it is, so. We're
gonna be shooting from the hip. No, girls definitely freestyle. That makes a lot more sense. Boys, we'll do folk style, I think. So I'm sure if anybody wanted to train, and I mentioned at the earlier part of the podcast, if any boys want to freestyle train with the girls, that's
right before Fargo. Yep.
Heck yeah, that's gonna be completely allowed. Used car salesman, Brett, you're a good one. Okay, I need you to sell Clackamas Community College right here, right now. Last opportunity of the podcast to reach the masses. Sell Clackamas Community College.
All right, so everybody out there, we are America's Junior College. We pride ourselves in running our organization as a 4-year institution. We're going to develop you guys inside the wrestling room, outside the wrestling room. You're going to have a great experience. I know I'm super biased, but I do believe I do have the best coaching staff in America, where they have the accolades behind it, but at the end of the day, they do have the love and the passion to give back to our guys over here. And so all in all, you're going to have a great experience and honestly, and grow in the sport of wrestling. I could only relate for myself. I was a Clackamas wrestler myself, coming from California, and just the relationships that I built at Clackamas, even at my wedding, all my groomsmen, they're all Clackamas wrestlers. It's just because the relationships that I built and the experience and taking on that next chapter of life of growing, just doing it around a good group of guys, you just can't beat it. So again, we're in a great area. If you guys come here to check it out, you guys will love it. I'm personally excited about coming to this camp because again, I'm a California guy, so I have a lot of tie-ins with California wrestlers and coaches over there. So I'm really trying to go over there and bring my associate head coach so the Washington wrestlers could get to know me and see my energy when I'm running a practice. They could see the energy of how my associate head coach runs practice. And I think once you guys see that, you'll feel comfortable about being a Clackamas wrestler. And I'm just super stoked over there about growing some more roots over there because we've had success bringing Washington kids to our program and becoming, All-Americans, 2-time All-Americans, and being able to move on. But I just want to grow my relationship and have deeper roots over there in the state of Washington. So, I'm super excited, and go Clackamas.
Hey, can you name some of the Washington wrestlers right now that like the newer, people tuning in right now? You got over there. We talked about the Villanueva brothers. Who else?
Yeah, so I have Jeremiah Zuniga, Toppenish boy.
That's what I was trying to get you to. That's what I was trying to get you to because you transferred from NIC, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, and Zuniga, he was, obviously we threw our name in the hat with him when he was a senior in high school. And again, just one of those guys where we thought we legit had a chance. And he ended up going the NIC route, became an All-American over there. And I just think he was looking for something, a different type of look, somebody from where he's from a little bit, culture that's a little bit similar from what he's been brought up to. And I think, when he watched us wrestle and when we competed against them and he saw the energy from my coaching staff, he saw the energy from our guys, I think he really just gravitated towards that and, reached out and we talked and we were able to get him over here with us. And we're super excited about him. He's been over here with us in the spring term and, he's adapting really well. And I know the guys really respect him and he's doing a good job over here. And, another one, we have Ben Gomez from North Kitsap High School. He came in here as a redshirt freshman, and he's grown a lot. We're super excited about him coming out next year and putting on the Clackamas singlet and balling out. We have Manu Collins. Unfortunately, with him, he blew his knee out in the preseason, so he had season-ending surgery. And, so it's kind of been a tough blow for him, but we're excited about him. He's getting himself healthy and getting ready to go. And
another reason to go the JUCO route. You blow your knee out in D1, they'll never talk to you again. I mean, you're pretty much out of there. I mean, realistically, we've all been there, right? The coaches could tell you what they want to tell you, but you're the flavor of the month until you blow your knee out and hope for the best. And that's happened to a couple of some of your coaches that around here in Washington State. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. And again, yeah, those kind of like the big names that we have over here. And again, that's only a small handful, and we're looking for more. So nice. That's why I'm excited about going over here June 28th, 29th, and building those relationships with these Washington wrestlers and have them come into the beautiful state of Oregon and be a Clackamas Cougar.
Nice. Well, Coach Brett, we appreciate you. We'll allow you to tune out here so Des and I can finish out. But thank you so much for joining us, giving us a lot of your insight into Clackamas, a big signing in the Villanueva brothers, getting Jeremiah Zuniga over there, a couple state champs, although I don't know that the Villanueva brothers, they're state champ level competitors. So you got some good ones there. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me, and anytime, man. I would love to be able to talk more about Clackamas wrestling. So thank you again.
All right, have a good day. All right, Des, this is it. You're here. Coach D, he couldn't get the internet connection.
Yeah, he texted me. He said, sorry, I think they're out of town. He was having some technical issues.
It's okay. It is okay. We'll have you guys back on later so that that we know we can get to. But for the girls, I know you're entwined with the dual teams and stuff like that. So you already are selling yourself. But to everybody out there who understands, I think that something to kind of harken back to you that you mentioned earlier is there's a lot of people that don't know that they are a great, perfect fit for Big Bend Community College. Like you mentioned, some people just reached out to you out of nowhere. They weren't on your recruit radar. Same thing with me. I just popped into this place in Kansas. I wasn't on the recruit radar. You don't know what you don't know. But sometimes, and most of the time, staying home is great. You know, you get to be around your support system. You're not very far away. In your expertise, Maple Valley, it's really a center. It's a mecca of high school wrestling from around there. It's great to be able to head just an hour or two in any which way to get back home, do your laundry, have your mom tell you that she hates seeing you and bringing all your dirty laundry and, you know, making your meals when you're back in or whatever it is. But it's good to have that. It really is. It gives you an opportunity to kind of try it out. Now, I'm selling it a little bit here, but Des, send us home with the sales job there for Big Bend Community College.
All right, I will do my best. So, I mean, I also think it's important to note, like, I love to help out with Team Washington, and I don't want people to think that I do it for recruiting, because that is not why I do it. I do it because I love to give back to this state, and I think it's important for young athletes to see people come back and give back, because when I was wrestling, we didn't have that, right? I talked about a little bit, I'm going off topic, but I talked about a little bit with some of the Team Washington girls that I had never even seen a female coach. I didn't know that women coached. I didn't know that was a thing until like my sophomore, junior year of high school, where we had a national team coach who was a female, and I was shocked, right? So it's so awesome to be able to give back and just see all the amazing things that these girls from Washington get to experience now that girls like me and Cam did not get to experience when we were coming up. Going back to Big Bend. So I think what's really awesome and special about Big Bend is, one, we are the only NJCAA program in Washington. We are a new NJCAA program. I think a lot of people, when they think about Big Bend, they think about Big Bend club wrestling, right? Which is kind of what it used to be, where it wasn't really a consistent thing here, right? Like, it was just kind of something that people did. Like, they came to school here and they wrestled and it was cool. That is not what it is now, right? Like, we're a legit team. We go to nationals. We go to duels. We have academic standards, everything like that. And this is serious to me. Like, this is my whole life. This is my passion. This is what I've always dreamed of doing. And the fact that I'm able to come back and do it here in Washington, here at Big Bend, is super special and super important to me. I'm really passionate about all the girls on my team. Like, they are my family. I'm their family. They may not always like me, but, you know, we always love each other. So I think apart from the wrestling, it's just that family atmosphere of where I want the girls who come here to feel safe and included and part of something bigger than themselves, part of something special. And I want them to leave here saying, I loved my time there, right? Like, I enjoyed my time there. I want to win national titles. I want to win team national titles. I want my girls to be successful. But like I said earlier, I want them to really, like, leave here loving their time and saying that was a great experience for me. And again, my main recruiting pool is Washington girls. Like, I really don't look out of state too much, maybe here and there a couple girls, but really, like, I want Washington girls on my team. I think that that's what community colleges should be. And I think that with the talent that we have here in Washington, it's something that is very attainable for us to be successful at that national level with our homegrown talent that we have here.
Yeah. And then, you know, it goes without saying, like, Des, you're a decorated athlete yourself, you know, NAIA national champion, U23 national champion, 5th at your 2020 Olympic trials, 4-time high school All-American, 4-time high school state champion, 4-time college All-American. Like, for any athlete, they would want that, you know. Now you get to have it right here at Big Bend. You know, a lot of people imagine going that D1 route. They think that's better for them, but where are you going to go? I mean, you could go places, but it's like, it's right here. You know, you're a great coach. You have the greatest coaches championing you here. And I mean, what about even just coming for a year? I mean, can you not just come for a year?
And something that happens commonly, like, we have girls who will do running start in high school and say they need 20 credits to graduate before their AA. Come here, finish off, wrestle a year, go on to do better things. Or we have girls who maybe, I think we had 3 transfers this year coming in. So we have girls who maybe were at the NAIA or NCAA level and maybe didn't take care of it in the classroom, or it was just too much for them, who transfer here, come here, get eligible, redshirt, finish your AA, and then go out and give it another shot. So it really is a second opportunity for a lot of these girls also. like I said, I started at the NAIA level and then I transferred to NJCA level, and it really prepared me to go back to that NAIA 4-year school and be successful. So I think that is also a great option that a lot of people don't think about, because it really does suck to see girls who have great talent or great potential just kind of burn out and fizzle away. So it's a great opportunity, right? Like, everybody deserves a second chance. And I think a lot of times junior colleges are a great route to go if you still want to continue wrestling.
Yeah, and I think that we kind of talked about it a little bit, is, vibe, feel, your coaches, everything about it. Des, people love you. It seems like all the girls love you. I mean, you seem like a great fit to be where you're at. They're truly lucky to have you at Big Bend. So, Des, I appreciate you for coming on. Hopefully we can get you in later, with Coach D, when you guys both maybe are in there.
Yeah.
And you have Levi. He's the key to
That's my son. Everybody loves him. Like, I'll go places and the girls will be like, "Where's Levi? You don't have Levi?" Like, they don't even care to see me. They're just like, "Where's Levi?" So I'm also really blessed that coaching girls, it helps, right? All girls love small children. So he's super spoiled by them all, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, again, that concludes our podcast, the Pacific Northwest Combine Camp, put on by Philip Cifuentes. Please contact the phone number 360-780. Des, you can go ahead and leave now.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you very much. Phone number again, 360-780-0687. Camp clinicians, Cam Guerin, Coach I've just got this again. Daviaire Dickerson, head men's coach, Big Bend Community College. Desiree Zavala, head women's coach there, as you just mentioned. Joy Lewandowski, Southern Oregon University, NAIA. Brett Sanchez, who was on the podcast, coach at Clackamas. His assistant coach, Abner Romero. Dustin Azure from Eastern Oregon University, NAIA, entering his 10th season. Mike Ritchie, Southwestern Oregon Community College, 136 NAIA All-Americans, 22 national champions, and Greg Ford, who we've had on the podcast before, are all going to be there as clinicians. Guys, if you want to get information about how to become a college athlete, it's right there. Okay. Chief Leshy High School, 28th and 29th, only $100 right there in Puyallup. 2 sessions a day with some of the top people there and everything. So I just really appreciated that podcast. Like I said, I really felt like I was one of those kids that ended up at a JUCO completely by happenstance. And I just had not the greatest, people and support system behind me. And I ended up there. I fizzled out. I didn't have the greatest coaches in the world. I wasn't in the greatest situation in the world, but now Washington State provides opportunities for you to get there, right here, right now. Coach Des, great. Coach D, Greg Ford, there's others that are around the program. Hopefully we'll have them on, but you have real good opportunities here in Washington State to go out there and get it done. But our preseason ranks are finally getting going. We are only to 106. We have 14 total weeks of this thing. We'll be here all summer. Please hop in the comments, talk some trash, because we love that. And that's okay. We appreciate that. If you guys don't see your name on there, check back next week. We may have you up a weight class. For me, I'm Matt. For the whole Washington Wrestling Network team, we will see you guys next time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.